Hello. Anytime you're ready. Hello. I guess everybody could be able to see me. Just see me sitting here with doing nothing, trying to get this thing ready. Right? I think that's what's been going on here. Gotta see. There he is. There's everybody. I need to know right now any echoes. Most important thing right now. Sheree and I worked really hard on this a couple days ago. Seems like yesterday, but I think it was Sunday or Saturday. That let me just make sure that live chat. Okay. So I've been on for like 3 minutes and didn't even know it. Okay. Any no echo, Heather says. All right, great. Well, that's good. Anybody can chime in here. I just need to do a few things here to make sure everything works. So I can see the chat and I can see myself, you know. Okay. Don't know why it does that. How's everybody doing tonight? Um, all right. No echo, no echo, no echo, no echo. I love hearing that. I guess what Sherry and I did worked. All right. Let me get set up here for a second. Let me get onto my other computer here. And man, I got questions to ask and all sorts of stuff tonight. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little bit unorganized. I was fighting with the print cover for Volume 5 that's now out. And Sheree, it sounds good. Excellent. Okay. Little late getting here because like I said, I was fighting with the print cover. I thought I had it done, sent it to Amazon, thought it was looking good, and they said back, no, it's no good. And I've been fiddling with it for like the last hour. So I apologize for that. Um, and now I have to get my outline here. Just got a little behind. That's 9 o'clock. We're going on time. This thing's starting on time. And I'm doing good. I don't know if some of you maybe saw that I've posted some pictures of some things that will be decorating my new place once I move in there on May 1st. Never really had a chance to, decorate my own place per se, but I decided, well, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it right. So I've been getting some good posters, cheap, like $7, $8 posters, and then getting frames, which are like $18 or something. And so for like 25 bucks, they look really nice. And so I'm really excited of how this place is all going to play out. Let's see, Carrie and Jessica and Full Metal and Nana, Pamela, D, Carrie, James. All right, everybody's tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Got a lot to talk about tonight, as we usually do. I mean, that's usually the case. I'm wearing an Unfound shirt tonight, as usual. And we're going to talk a little bit about Tom Brown. We're going to talk a little bit about Jodi Huisentruit. We're going to talk a little bit about Missy Bevers. This might be a long show tonight. And also, I'm going to be taking a lot of your questions because we really got some good questions tonight that we haven't gotten before. And I want to make sure that they are all covered. So I'm going to do one of those right now. What made you start? And what started you on the path that you're on now? This is from Cassandra. And she asked me another question. She asked me about my favorite case, but you know that's not how I think about cases. I don't have a favorite case. They're all important to me. What's going on, Justin and Emma and Jamie and Miranda? Miranda, I sent you an email today. I hope you got that. Carrie, Susan, Ann. All right, everybody's in here. Cassandra says, what made you start and what started you on the path that you're on? Yeah, Sheree, I do need an Unfound sign from Heather. Yes, Heather's going to make me an Unfound poster, which I'm really looking forward to. Mimi, what's going on? What started me on this path? It's been probably a long time coming. It's just for Cassandra, just kind of a lot of things just eventually coming together. An overall interest in mysteries. I love to solve things. I'm a fixer. I've gotten some improv experience over the time in my time in entertainment. Performance, I think, is important in doing this program. Being able to talk off the top of your head is very important when I do the interviews. It's just a lot of things that just came together. And on top of that, what's up, James? James is drinking Tang. I love it. Are you on the moon, James? Angie and Khalil Boy. It was just a lot of things put together. And also, I was never going to be that 9-to-5 corporate guy. I tried that when I first went to Las Vegas and didn't do very well at it. I need a little bit more leeway. I don't particularly care like having bosses telling me what to do. So it's just a lot of things put together. I don't think that I could have done this program maybe, 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I think there's been a lot of things that have gone on in my life in the last 10, 15 years that I needed to be able to be good at talking to people, interviewing people. And of course, it helps that the internet has gotten much more complex. There's a lot more information out there that allows myself, Emily, Cherie, everybody else who helps this program, it allows them to do their work more efficiently as well. So it's just a lot of things that came together for me personally. And then just running into the right people. I think that when you start doing a program like this and you come to do it from a good place, it's not about you gaining fame or money or anything like that. And people are going to be able to tell that very quickly. And they're going to want to jump on board and help. And that's exactly what has happened. So, Cassandra, I hope that answers your question. James, am I going to cover the Susan Powell case? Don't know, James. Haven't really thought about it. I can tell you it's not on the list. Of course, I know a lot about it. It seems like it's pretty clear what happened there, but I'm not saying never. But there are no plans right now, James. Joyce, what's going on? Thank you, Justin and Emma. I appreciate the kind words. So that gets us started off tonight with the questions. I will get another question done here in a little bit. Got to shut off the air conditioning. Yeah, can't talk with the air conditioning on. That's going to be one of the nice things when I moved in my new place. It's more like central air, so I'll be able to leave the air on when I record and do this program and everything else. I've gotten a lot of good responses from the update episodes. I have to admit, and I'm sorry, I want to apologize for this. I did not realize how important it was to a lot of you to hear updates on the cases that Unfound covers. That's something that I've underestimated, and I need to be more cognizant of that. I think that really, as much as all of you love the cases, and that's what we do, that's why we're here, but I now realize how much many of you want to hear what happened afterwards. Now, granted, I wasn't able to talk about every case. Not every case had some updates, but because of the response that I got to that episode, man, you need to do those more often, etc. I'm going to plan to do one of those about every 4 months. You know, instead of, it's been, 8 months? Frankly, I was thinking about only doing one a year, but things just kind of went down that way last week. So I need to be more open to what all of you want. And maybe I just didn't realize it. And so I think I'll be doing another update episode probably in August, early August. Khalil Boy says, you still have the piano. Yeah, I do. Haven't been able to sell it yet, Khalil. Thank you for noticing. I think I have a guy, though. I think I got a guy that's going to come and get it. And I hope so. I hope that happens. I think you're going to see and hear another update episode the end of August. Hopefully, I'll have a lot to talk about. Of course, this last episode went like 3 hours. The first update episode last summer went 3 hours. I don't know if the next one's going to go 3 hours because I'm going to cut down the time between episodes. But we'll see. But I'm making that promise to you right now that probably in August, later in August, we'll do another update episode. Justin and Emma, you should look into the Ashley Loring runner case out of Browning, Montana. Okay, Justin and Emma. Maybe send me some information. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with it. But if you send me some information, I'll certainly take a look at it. Or you can send it to my assistant, Emily, and she will take a look at it as well. I was just talking about volume 5 of season 1 right before I came on tonight. I've been fighting the print edition cover that I thought was done, and I sent it to Amazon, and they didn't like it for some reason. So I'm kind of redoing it. The ebook is out. The ebooks are easy to do because it's just one rectangular file that I attach to a doc file. But for print editions, where you're going to actually have, a real book in your hands, the artwork and everything has to be just right, or it won't look right, and it won't cut right, and the spine has to be right. It's much, much, much more complicated, and I've had a few issues with the artwork for that. So the print edition is going to take a few more days, so we'll see. But the ebook on Amazon for volume 5 of season 1 is out. So $2.99, just like all the other ones are, so I hope you will check it out. Katrina, love the updates. The Tice case is very heartbreaking. Yeah, Katrina. Absolutely. What I said for that particular update was all the truth. It was very, very hard on me. And really, it's still very hard on me because just about every day I see Jessica's picture because she had posted herself wearing an Unfound shirt. And I have that picture, and it's in my files, and so I see her almost every day. So it's just bad. It's just bad. Transcriptions are going well. A lot of people working very hard out there. A lot of them have already turned their transcriptions in. And I should have stated that people will get their perks and pay once I have a chance to look at the transcriptions that they've done. Okay, so once I get to look at them and read through them and make sure everything's good, that's when everybody will be compensated for their very hard work. And I deeply, deeply appreciate it. So that's when that's going to happen, but there's continuing to work. And I think that I have transcriptions being worked on the whole way through season 2, volume 3. So like halfway through season 2, which is really good. Really good. Transcriptions. I'm slowly cleaning my place out. I got some, you can't see them, but right over here, I got some boxes. I got boxes that are going to take to Goodwill, boxes that I'm taking with me to my new place. I think, and I'm going to be able to get rid of about half my stuff that I'm going to be giving to Goodwill and throwing away a lot of stuff between here and then the new place. And so it's needed. And so I've been trying to do a box a day, going through stuff. And I've just accumulated a lot of stuff that I'm never going to use. So that's what I've been doing when I'm not working on books. And I did an interview today and everything else that's been going on. So there you go. Let's see what we got here. Carrie, trying to help Chandra Taylor get in. Okay, she wants to Chandra Young. Okay, Carrie. I want to talk about what Yvonne Ludwig is doing. I just want to explain this all to you and so you understand, because here's what happened. Because as you know, she was, her daughter's case, Ashley's case, was included in the update last Friday. And I've been working with Yvonne, since January, trying to get Ashley's case kind of restarted. And Yvonne has done some things that I think that we've moved it ahead in the last 3 months. Well, she's very thankful. And she wanted to raise money for me. And I said, I can't do that. All right, I don't take money from guests. I don't. In fact, I will tell you that a former guest from, I think, the first season sent me a check without me knowing. I never cashed it. I still have the check, never cashed it. I'm sure that's driving their checkbook crazy. But I don't take money from guests. Okay, even if they're, very, very thankful, I don't do that. So, especially if they're family members. So, I told her I said, okay, so I would appreciate. So what we're gonna do is she's trying to raise money in her and Unfound's name that we can give to some worthy organization. All right, we're gonna put it in Ashley and Unfound's name. Ashley Eifert's an Unfound podcast name. We haven't figured that out yet. So I would appreciate it. She has a goal of $500. I would appreciate it if you could assist her in getting to that goal. She's not getting the money. I am not getting the money. Okay, we're going to do this for Ashley as a donation to some worthy cause. Once again, Yvonne wanted to do something for your Unfound, and I couldn't take the money, so we came up with something else. All right? So if $5, $10, whatever you can spare, you will see it's posted. She's posted it on her page, Yvonne Ludwig, and it's posted in the group. I don't usually like to do things like this where people are asking for money in the group and everything else. But being this is a guest and I'm taking part in it personally, I'd appreciate it if you would consider giving. Once again, don't get crazy with it. I don't want to hear about anybody giving $100 or something. $5, $10, $20. All right, so she can reach her goal of $500. I would deeply appreciate it. All right, once again, I'm not getting any of the money. All right, and neither is she. And we're gonna go to some missing persons organization or a women's shelter or something like that. That's what's gonna happen with it. So I just wanted to clear that up for anybody that saw that and are thinking, well, what does that? Is that getting money? No. All right. The way I make money for the program is through Patreon, okay, PayPal, the books, and everything else. That is what I do. That's it. Okay. That is it. I don't raise money for charity. Unfound is not a nonprofit organization or anything like that. So it's just something that I do. So I just wanted to clear that up. Katrina asks, did you decide based on votes when you will do an update podcast? Katrina, I did. And the most common answer is 4 months. So I'm going to go along with that. Yes, that's a good question. Thank you. Barbara, I'm going to step over that thing about the headband. LaFord, amazing update, Ed. Update episode, Ed. Love the way you read the names at the end. Thank you, LaFord. Chandra, glad you could make it. James, thank you. Carrie, go to her page and save it. Thank you, Carrie. Bree says she's late as always. That's fine. So I just wanted to clear that up. I know we have like 73 people in here. If you all went right now and gave $5 times 73 would be really close to getting to the goal. Okay, I would just ask you to consider that. And once again, you can find that in the group. And once again, the reason we're doing that is because Yvonne wanted to do something nice. Okay, and I wanted to go along with that. All right, let's take another question, and then we'll talk about Tom Brown. What's going on in the Thomas Brown case? Let me see here. All right, Carrie, who is the sheriff, the sheriff in the Unfound podcast discussion group now. She is now the person who lets everybody in. She monitors the conversations and everything else. I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit, and you can see that she's in here tonight. Vicky, what's going on? Vicky, Carrie asked me a very good question. She posted, are there any training or classes you would recommend to help search for the missing? Okay, I think that's a very good question. Okay, so training and classes. Once again, after doing this, I can only tell you from my experience from the last 2.5 years. And what I've found is the number one skill that you can have in doing any of this are organizational skills. Okay? Organizational skills. You have to be able to collect information, put it in wherever you think it needs to go, and be able to keep everything straight. Okay? If you are, when you're searching for the missing, if you're investigating something, if you're researching something, if you're going to government records, if you're going to court dockets, anything, you're going to web sleuths or whatever else, it's so important that you keep things organized. Okay? And not some organized thing where you know where everything is, but it should be a filing system where if other people want to get involved, you can copy the information, email it, or whatever else to them as well, and they will understand it. Because I will tell you something that I run into. Many families will get information. All right? They're great at getting information. But then I'll say, well, I have all these papers and everything else. And I just say, send me what you got. And they'll send me something. And it's very unorganized. Okay. You know, it's easy for me to say I'm not the one who's going through the emotions and everything else. But if families want help, okay, they have to be able to present the information that they've collected on their own to other people and it be comprehensible. Okay? Because I've had stuff sent to me and there's just phone numbers and addresses and names all over a page. And that's hard. And so then I have to talk to them and what does this mean? And it becomes very difficult. Carrie says, I got that down. My desk has binders and binders just to organize. Okay? So I think organizational skills are very important. Now, of course, internet research skills and everything are important as well. All right. And once again, I don't know if there's a training class or anything like that out there that can teach you that. I know for me, what I've learned about trying to find people and everything, it's a lot of trial and error. And I've just had on-the-job training. So I couldn't tell you what kind of class or seminar that you could go to do that. All right. This is one of those things where I'm not a big fan of CrimeCon, but if there were people that wanted to teach how to research the internet and get information on people and use court documents and things like that and everything, that would be worthwhile. You know, James, I'm not going there. No. All right. Jessica says all of her stuff is in binders too. Well, that's great. Now, the other part of this that I think is very relevant is critical thinking skills. All right. And I also run into this when I talk to a lot of these guests, once again, behind the scenes, before you end up hearing them for an interview. They have all of this information. They talk to this person. First, this is very relevant, like in drug cases. Maybe something like Lacey Buenfil, when she was surrounded by a bunch of liars and crazy people, and a lot of people weren't even here anymore. That's a perfect example. You'll see people, they'll go out, they'll start questioning. They have all this information. They'll organize it, but they will have a bunch of information that they never sit down and really critically think about it. Because what happens is they'll tell me information that is completely contradictory. This person says she was over here. This person says she was over there. And you have to be able to develop those critical thinking skills when you're going through the information to figure out what doesn't make sense. This is contradictory to that. And you need to be able to do that very quickly when there is a bunch of information in front of you. Because how I would explain it, and the only reason I know this is because I took the LSAT, which is like the SAT to get into law school. I didn't go to law school. I could have gone to law school. I think my LSAT score would have been good enough, but I didn't go. But the LSAT doesn't ask you about law questions. It gives you a bunch of minimum information puzzles. That's one part, at least when I took it back in like 1992. It's a bunch of minimum information puzzles. For example, I know this is going to sound weird, but if you've ever read something, 6 people are seated around a table. John doesn't sit next to Sue. Jerry doesn't sit next to Karen. One is wearing a blue shirt. One is wearing a red shirt. And they give you all this information. And then from all of that, you need to figure out in what order they're placed around a table and what shirts they're wearing. Okay? And that kind of doing puzzles like that, because I know that they're on the internet, you can find them in many places. Doing puzzles like that, minimum information, where you really have to think about the logic of something, because if it's A, it can't be B, but it could be C, it could possibly be D. But if it's B, it could be A and C. This is the kind of thinking that you need to be able to do in analyzing missing persons cases. Why? Because all missing persons cases are minimum information puzzles. Okay? And those are probably, now I don't know how you learn. Now there are books to teach you how to do those types of things, but once again, it's a conditioning of your mind. It's no different than doing algebra and geometry and everything. No, hardly anybody uses that. But what happens is when you learn those things, you learn to think in a rational, critical, logical way. That's what algebra and all that stuff is really about. Those kids who say, well, I'm never going to use this. Well, yeah, you are. You're just not going to realize it. That's the way I feel about missing persons cases, Carrie. You need to be organized. You need to know where the information is. That information needs to be able to be transferable to somebody else if they're looking at it so they can easily understand it. And then also being able to look at information and be able to determine this doesn't make sense, this does make sense. If this is true, this can't be true. And be able to do that very quickly. Okay? Because I can still remember talking to Cindy Fox about Lacey's disappearance. I remember going up to meeting her, just north of here where the disappearance happened. And I told her, you know what? You need to start thinking about narrowing your information down. You need to start thinking critically. Okay? This is what I would tell all of you. Carrie, I hope that, so I don't know if there's a seminar on that or a classroom discussion on it or anything, but that's the best I have. I don't think that you can take a class or a seminar and automatically become a missing persons expert. I think it takes really critically thinking, and that's why I'm so happy, like after 125 cases, that I can look back on these other cases that I've covered for experience in what I've learned. Okay, this isn't just some show. Every program we do, I'm looking to learn something and bring that to the next episode. So, Carrie, I'm hoping that helps. Um, got some discussions going on here. Um, yes, Carrie, who is the one that asked the question, is in here. Between binders and having to be able to use critical thinking as a dispatcher, I'm doing better than I thought. I think that's the best way to start. Um, as I think maybe many of you know, I think what has gone wrong, as much as we talk about DNA and how it solved cases going way back to the 70s and 60s, and it's awesome. It's great. We are so fortunate in the last 25 years for that to have come along. The problem is that we've gone the other direction, kind of. When police don't have that information, they don't know what to do. There's not a lot of critical thinking and trying to figure things out. I think that is now linking, kind of going back to like the Columbo, I know it's fiction, the Columbo way of thinking, of just trying to think through things. And I just don't know if that is I think that's a skill that has been lost in investigation over the last 25 years, because investigations now are so caught up in science. All right. Instead of just using some logic and common sense. My opinion. Brenda, thanks for your tuning in tonight. Thanks. First time. I love hearing that. Katrina, I know one thing for me is to help on a case not in my area due to rumors. Bree, I feel so bad for Carly's mother. Okay. So that would be my answer to that question, Carrie. And for anybody that's watching, that it's just not about going to a seminar. I think that you really have to really get into the information of case. And that's why we try on Unfound to go into these cases as deeply as we do, and not theorize, so people can hear what the guest has to say and make up their minds for their own. They're on their own. Well, that hopefully is stimulating everybody's critical thinking. Hopefully. All right. Thomas Brown. Just got to talk about it. Where do I want to start? Let's just start with this radio show that I guess was yesterday. It was K101 in Oklahoma. I forget the town. Not far from Canadian, but in Oklahoma. I forget who posted that in the group. I appreciate whoever did that. And they got a lot of things wrong in that on that show. It seems like the one guy did listen to it. The woman who was hosting the program did not listen to it. She thought that when they were talking about, although Unfound is never mentioned, that she thought they were talking about Phil Klein, which of course was not the truth. That was not the case. It sounded to me like the woman who was in that program is going to end up listening to my interview with Penny, and I think that's spectacular. But they did get a lot of things wrong. And I did message them last night. They didn't get back to me, but I told them I would be happy to come on and talk about Thomas's case with them. Try to straighten some things out. We'll see what we can do. It seems to me that I might have a little more in common with them than I do with the host of that other program that I was on last summer. So we'll see if they get back to me. If not, that's fine too. I just don't like it when the incorrect information gets out there. All right, but it's good that they're covering it. I don't know exactly why it came up. Maybe they brought it up because that guy did listen to my interview. I don't know. But it was good that they were talking about it, even though they got some things wrong. And, so there's that. Let me see. Jessica Reese says she must have missed that post. The post about this K101, yeah, Jessica, you got to check that out. Heather said, it definitely threw me for a loop on the information in the broadcast. Yeah, some of it was not right, Heather. It just wasn't. Um, you believe it? Sure, I think it was Heather Dobbins that posted that. You may be right. Yeah, she didn't know Osu Sooners. Yeah, she didn't know much about the interview that I did. Hopefully, the woman that was on that show has listened to today or yesterday, and then she'll see what the other guys were talking about. Carrie says some guy that does missing persons cases all over the country kind of made me giggle. Well, I guess yeah. Okay, but it's kind of true. Michelle, what's going on? So the other part of this, we now know that it's come out that Gregory Pine Gregory and Nathan Lewis have been under investigation. The investigation is now over. This seemingly started in February. The official public word is that it had nothing to do with Thomas Brown's case. If they're going to say it, I guess I have to believe it. But as I think I was telling Cherie and some other people privately, do we think that this investigation would be happening if it wasn't for Tom Brown's case? Would it have just happened if Tom Brown was still here with his mother? Would the AG's office or would the Texas Rangers be investigating Nathan Lewis and the entire department anyway? I happen to not think so. That's my instinct. I don't know. Are there any other sheriffs in any other counties in Texas being investigated by the Texas Rangers right now? I don't know that information. I would be surprised if it was more than a couple. I would not be surprised if it was more than one, but I would be surprised if it was 5. So there must be something that has gone on in Hemphill County that is different from most of the other counties in Texas. And I apologize for that horn that's going off in the background if you can hear it. All right, it's off now. Katrina says, Penny even commented and said some facts are not true about the radio show. Yes, Katrina, right. Tara says, the radio host at K101 has gotten a lot of things wrong a lot of times. It was the only radio station I got growing up. Which Pine has been working the last 3 days? Well, he's still working. Now, this takes us to the other part of it. The local district attorney and then another district attorney, I don't know, for the wider area. I don't know how they divide all of those things up in Texas. Have now gone public to say that they are not taking cases from Pine Gregory. They think that the cases that he has been, hello, Robin, the cases that he has been pulling people over, signing documents, charging people with things, saying they were doing this, they're not taking anything from him anymore, which I think reflects badly upon him. I've never heard of something like that. Once again, I don't have any law enforcement experience, but I've never heard something like that. And so that's very curious. And of course, the next point is, well, if he's a cop, I know he's a deputy, but if he's just a police officer and he can't, the things that he does can't be prosecuted, then what's he doing there? He's just a glorified security guard then. He might as well be working at the mall. So I don't know. I mean, if he pulls over somebody for speeding, they're doing like 100 miles an hour in a 35 zone. He pulls them over. What happens? Does the person get off? Does the person get to walk away? I don't know what's going on there, and I'm not saying anybody should chance that. I just don't know. Cherie says, I don't know if that's the official word. I've seen so many conflicting reports, it's hard to know. So I don't know what to make of it's the DA and the county attorney. Thank you. I don't know what you can do with a police officer who can't charge criminals with things or charge speeders or charge jaywalkers or anything else. But it does seem that they happened upon something that his paperwork didn't seem right, and was a little thin on some of the charges. That's my interpretation. All right. Now, as far as investigating Nathan himself, Sheriff Lewis himself, and them calling it a criminal investigation, I don't know if this could be connected to what Pine was doing. I'm thinking, being that, Sheriff Lewis is the boss of the department, if one of his deputies is doing something that isn't right, he should know about it. All right? He should know. And if he sees something wrong that his deputy is doing, he's supposed to tell him about it or tell her about it. And if they don't improve, he can fire them. Now, it may be that Nathan Lewis knew that Pine Gregory is doing these things, whatever he was doing with these write-ups and everything, and Nathan Lewis, Sheriff Lewis, was letting them go, which I think would be bigger trouble for him than it would be for Pine. Being that Sheriff Lewis is an elected official, he's the boss, he is the law in Hemphill County. And I'm guessing if there are enough of these things that Sheriff Lewis looked past regarding Pine Gregory, I guess it would become a criminal investigation. I guess it would become, felonies. I guess it would be. And it wouldn't have anything to do, I guess, with Thomas Brown's disappearance. All right? That's my interpretation of it. I don't want to get on, into anything. I know there's all sorts of crazy rumors and everything, but, behind the scenes, I've been hearing that, things have been going on with Pine Gregory for a while. He was gone for a while, and then was he in Utah? Was he here? Was he there? And then he's back, and then people said he got fired, and no, he's there, but then now they're saying that he can't charge anybody with anything. They're not accepting any of his paperwork. And then this pops up that Sheriff Lewis was investigated. Once again, the investigation, my understanding, is now over. And it started in February. OU Sooner said he should not be working. He should be on leave. I'm Pine Gregory. Carrie, how much does this open prior case if he was involved in? I don't know, Carrie. It all depends on what it was. Carrie says he can answer phones, ride the desk, I guess, regarding Pine. Jessica, why are the taxpayers still paying his wages if they can't do anything with his stuff? Good question, Jessica. I don't have an answer to that. OU Sooners, I guess he can sweep floors and scrub toilets. Okay. OU Sooners, Lewis is his supervisor, and all cases go through him and then to the county attorney. Right. Katrina, bottom line, Lewis sabotaged this. I'm not going to get into that, Katrina. Khalil, did they ever say who found his remains? No. No. A lot of rumors. A lot of rumors. When it happened, how it happened, why it happened. And of course, if you listened to the radio show yesterday, they went as far as to say that Thomas Brown was dismembered. I've never heard that. I've never talked to Penny about that. She's never said anything to me. If she knows that, that's news to me. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to Penny about that. But that's news to me. I don't know how they would be able to determine that necessarily after over 2 years, but maybe there's some way. So that came out and that. So there's a lot of rumors flying around, but don't get me wrong. I was just as surprised as all of you to hear that the situation that Pine Gregory is in right now and that this investigation. Now, I did hear somebody tell me, I do not know if, I've not looked this up, but I heard that there is a lawsuit against the sheriff's office from some other family for something. Now, of course, it's not a disappearance or a murder. Something went on with a girl, and now her parents or the family is suing the sheriff's department. Maybe it comes from that, and I don't know the details of it. I'm sorry, I'm just too dang busy. But maybe it comes from that. OU Sooners, I've heard that while being investigated for Tom, they uncovered other issues. That very well could be. I have no proof of that, OU Sooner. I have no idea. Chris says he could be placed on administrative duty. He could be. Heather, is the manner in which they found the remains correct? I've never heard they found them the way they described it on the broadcast. The only thing that Phil Klein has said is somebody's come forward and did the right thing. That's the only person that seems to have gone on the record that's willing to say something like that. Now, behind the scenes, that's not what I've I've heard, but I can't prove any of this. I've been trying to prove who found the remains for a while. Nobody wants to talk about it. So I don't know. Charlie, I find it odd that they began the investigation on the sheriff deputy around the time Tom's remains were found. Charlie, I think you bring up an interesting point. Is it coincidence? Is it a rumor? This goes back to like Jeff Castletine when he committed suicide. I personally don't think it's related. But when things like that happen, our minds start putting it, trying to, piece this all together. Maybe he would have committed suicide on that day. Jeff would have, no matter if Thomas Brown's remains were found or not. I guess we'll never know. And this investigation, well, I don't know. It is odd, but just because something's odd doesn't mean, correlation doesn't mean causation, I think is the saying. So, and I have no cause to think anything other than what I've heard so far. All right, a lot of people who have been following me and Unfound since it covered Thomas Brown's case, that I've avoided all of the rumor mill. All right. Frankly, the reason I've done that because I realize that there are people in that county who want Unfound to make mistakes. They're just dying for me to say something that's wrong, for me to publicize something that's not true, to discredit me, to discredit all the people that work with me, Cherie, Emily, and others, looking to discredit all of us because of the influence that we've had on that case. And that's the reason I've been avoiding the theorizing. Okay? I just want you to know that, just to be truthful. All right? I know a lot of you would have liked me to say a lot. I can't do that. All right? I can't do that. I realize that we are being watched very closely. This program is being watched. This video is being watched very closely because there are a lot of people who want Unfound to fail. They want Penny to fail. They want the investigation to fail. All right, so they're just dying to look for a reason to point the finger at us and say that we don't know what we're talking about. So I'm just not going to give them anything to feed on. Carrie says, I think Penny said it wasn't disclosed to her the conditions of the remains. That's my interpretation, Carrie, but I don't know. Marcus, it's just one more twist in a convoluted case. Marcus, that's true. And once again, it goes back to what I was just talking about, critical thinking. How are we supposed to think about it? Anybody can collect information. Anybody can do that. But it's looking at it and being able to determine, does it mean something or doesn't it mean something? That's what a good investigator can do. Anybody can collect information. Anybody can theorize. Anybody can start a rumor mill. But it's the skilled people that can look at the information, try to get backup for it, try to get support for it, try to corroborate it, and start to critically think about it. That's a lot harder than all those other things I talked about. Mima says, rumors cause more pain to Penny. It's so heartbreaking. I agree. OU Sooner says, people are very scared and others are trying to justify the issues. I'm not going to disagree with you, OU Sooners, but maybe it's just because I've gotten used to it because of what I do. I'm talking about bad people every week. We're talking about bad people almost every week on Unfound. And I just don't feel that. I feel like that's why I'm here. I'm here. Emily's here. Cherie's here. Other people that help this program. We are here to make bad people uncomfortable. Okay, that's why we're here. Because we do believe that a majority of these cases are murders. And so when it comes to fear, that's just not something I feel. All right, I think that, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And you just can't let fear get in the way. And that's what I would tell anybody in Hemphill County. You can't let fear. The fear's not going to go away. As long as everybody's afraid, the longer they're afraid, the less likely this case is going to get solved. And that's the way in Tom Brown's case and any case out there. It's the same thing. Bobby, what's going on, man? It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in the in here for a while. Bobby, great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Cherie says people do contact us to talk. Sure, they certainly do, Cherie. That is certainly true. Carrie, I couldn't even guess how many from the area that has been accepted into the group just over the last few days. Carrie, I know. It's been that way since last July. OU Sooners, has the autopsy report been completed yet? I think it has, but I just don't think that anybody knows what it says. I don't even think that Penny knows what it says. I don't. If she does, she hasn't told me, and she has no under no obligation to tell me. But she hasn't told me. Bree says they probably won't release the autopsy if they think it would impact the case. That is something that I agree with. Bobby, Chandra, OU, but being in the community is different. Agreed. It's people like you and others that are so important. Once again, if people are going to tell me they're afraid, what are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid, let's just say, because this is just the general statement. I'm afraid of Sheriff Lewis. I'm afraid of the deputies. I'm afraid of these law enforcement officers. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean? You know, I know about a lot that's going on in Canadian Texas. I do, even though I've never been there. And murders are not very common there. The reason that Thomas Brown's disappearance sticks out is because it's so uncommon there. So it's not a violent area. It's just not. The only people that should ever have any fear is the people who did something wrong. All right, everybody else should be vigilant. All right, if you know something, say something. Bobby says, doing good, still fighting for Dad. Hope to have something coming up soon. Bobby, great to hear. Okay, great. The Unsinkable. I thought they called it homicide based on what was found in the car. Remember the client said they sprayed it with luminol. They could have been why they called it a homicide before the autopsy. I don't know what the luminol showed. To my knowledge, the only blood that was ever found in the car was that droplet on the driver's door. To my knowledge. Anything outside of that, unless somebody has some proof of that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. First of all, I'm under the impression that if Thomas was murdered, he was not murdered in the SUV. If he was, there would be stuff everywhere. Maybe, I don't want to be morbid, and I apologize to Penny, but if he's strangled, okay. But that luminol is not going to show anything if he was strangled. So I think you have to pick one. Of course, luminol is going to show something if he was stabbed or shot in the car, but then there would be blood anywhere, and you would need luminol to find it. So, once again, this gets back to that critical thinking about all of this. No, the Attorney General made an official homicide investigation. Bree, if they're afraid, they probably saw something they shouldn't. Well, I'm thinking, fear is a powerful emotion. Fear is a powerful emotion. And, there are many studies that have been done on fear about how rumors spread and people will start believing the things that aren't true. It's amazing how quickly it can spread. And it seems to have done a little bit of that in Canadian Texas. Now, it's easy to do. There's only 2,500 people there. But, mass hysteria, that is a real psychological symptom. A group of people being afraid of something that's going to happen. That's a real thing. So just because people feel fear doesn't mean they should and that it exists. No, they think they're scared of the retaliation in Nathan's power. Every Texas Ranger in the state of Texas has been in Hemphill County for the last year. Once again, I think I'm going to just be honest with you. I think this is totally out of proportion. I'm just going to keep saying it. It's totally out of proportion. There's always a reason to be afraid. There's always a reason. That doesn't mean it makes sense. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. If this could happen to one family, it could happen to another, so that's what needs to be feared the most. Sheree says Barbara. Sheree, yes. Um, you know, it's like I live in a city. I lived in Las Vegas, and now I live in Tampa. There are murders and disappearances happening here all the time. I'm not afraid. Okay, I'm not afraid. Las Vegas Metro, they have a pretty rough reputation, if you don't know. They have a pretty reputation. Never was afraid of any of them. And I'm sure there were some crooked cops there. Never afraid of them. I'm sure here in Tampa, in Pinellas County, there are some crooked cops here. No fear. This is just the way that I think about it. Once again, there's always a reason to be afraid, but there's probably even more reasons to not be afraid and do the right thing. So that's really all I have to say about it. I don't know what's going to go. I know somebody, Pamela, yes, well, Sheriff Lewis is elected, and that's what makes this a little more complicated than if he was just the chief of police in a town where he could be fired by the mayor or something. He was elected. There is a process to remove him from office. There is a process, but it's not as easy as firing somebody. And in fact, I know somebody sent me the procedure, and I haven't read it yet. There is a procedure, but it's not easy. Heather says they fear not fitting in. Well, that's an interesting thought, Heather. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that. I also need to talk about thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Khalil, you would think the Rangers would take control. Well, they took control in Tom's case. They've been spending a lot of time there. You'd think. I just can't, I really can't comment on that. You know, the thing is about Texas law enforcement, a little different. You know, I'm from Pennsylvania. We have Pennsylvania State Police. Nevada have state police, but the Texas Rangers, you know, it's just a little different. It's just a little different. I want to talk about Jodi Huisentruit for a bit. Of course, this is a case that has not been covered by Unfound, although I did cover it on the program that I used to do before this one. But if you follow that case, you know that recently John Van Cise, but Jodi's close friend, a guy who's been a person of interest in her case, finally did an interview. And he says it's the last one he's going to do until Jodi is found. And I just want to speak, very quickly on this, but having read the interview and what he said, and you can go to findjodi.com to find that, I really don't think that he caused Jodi's disappearance. In fact, I've never thought that for several reasons that I really don't want to get into right now. But if you're interested in that case and you didn't know that there was an update, go to findjodi.com. You can read John Van Cise's interview. This is the first interview he's done basically since Jodi disappeared. So in like 24 years. And he clears up some things. He, of course, insists that okay. I wonder why you did that, Sheree. Did you mean to do that? Sheree knows what I'm talking about. But John Van Cise has never been a good suspect in my mind. So I wanted to just harp on that because a lot of people have been waiting to hear from John Van Cise because he's been hounded around media. And he just was never, he was just run from the cameras, was shut the door, and then finally did this interview. And I got to tell you, maybe I'm just completely naive, but I believe him. I believe him when he says that he didn't have anything to do with Jodi's disappearance. I've stated from the beginning, since I ever found out about the case and was able to learn a lot about it, is I think it was some fan. I think it was some obsessed fan that waited for her. It was for her that morning. Somebody saw her on TV, got obsessed with her, started stalking her, and then was waiting outside that morning. I think that makes the most sense. So if you're interested in that case, please go to findjodi.com. Yeah, Sheree, I was wondering why you did that. Thank you for allowing OU Sooners back in. Okay. Let's take another question. All right, answered that already. Okay. Paula, I don't know if she's in here, but Paula says, what percentage of the cases you have spotlighted do you think could have been solved in a timely manner if authorities weren't so quick with the he ran away or not giving these victims that have a criminal background the same time as other cases? Or just not giving the family enough credit to know when something's not right? Any and all reasons that delay a proper investigation. Sorry for the long question. What is the percentage? I'm going to have to admit, Paul, that I wasn't able to go back and kind of think about every episode before I started this tonight. It's probably, I would say it's a decent percentage, but probably not as high as we think. There are certainly cases where no matter how quickly the police could have been involved, that, Jason Jolkowski, for example, how do you explain that? And we've done some other cases where people, do vanish, and I don't think that anything could have been done. On the other hand, we do have cases where maybe the young women were prostitutes or the guy was into drugs and the police did slough it off. It's just hard to know what the percentage is. I would have to go through each case, but it does happen, and it happens too much. It does happen too much. I always try to remind people that that's not right, but I also know that these police officers, at least the ones on the beat, they hear a lot about missing persons cases, and they hear a lot about kids running away, and then because most people do come back, they kind of, after a while, get jaded. And then there's that case where the person doesn't come back, and then suddenly they're so far behind, and it takes days to catch up, and sometimes they never do. All right? And, the other way I've put this to people is, if they pulled out the helicopters, the dogs, and search teams and everything for every disappearance that happens, every police department in this country would be broke. That's just a fact. That's the environment that we're working in. And that's why I talk about critical thinking. Being able to know and looking something and know what's going on after hearing the information. Okay? And being able to distinguish this case from that case. It's not a skill that police officers have. It just isn't. Bree says about John Van Sice, he always freaked me out, to be honest. I don't know why Jodi would hang out with somebody that much older. Khalil says Jodi's case was a crime of opportunity. Okay. Carrie thinks it's a fan with a screw loose. I'm inclined to think that too, Carrie. OU Sooners, yeah. OU, you're fine. Mistake on our part, and we apologize. You're doing a great job with comments tonight. Thank you. Luck, do you think it'll be solved soon? Luck, are you meaning Jodi's case? If that's what you mean, Luck, about Jodi's case, do I think it's going to be solved soon? I don't. The reason I don't is because I don't think that anybody is looking at, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything, but I think it's not solved. It's not going to be solved soon because I don't think they are looking at it as an obsessed fan crime. Just to be frank. So if that's what you mean, then no, I don't think it's going to be soon. But once again, I don't know what the cops are doing, but I know that the cops over the last so many years have had their eyes on Jan Van Sice. Well, he's been talked to. 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 At some point, it doesn't help talking to him anymore. Maybe you start looking at some other angles. So, okay, Jasmine, thank you. Bree, I like to hear Ed's view on the Carly Guys case. I've been watching a lot of stuff about it. Unfortunately, I am not educated enough to even begin to comment Bree. Okay, Michelle, thank you. Khalil says, I'm telling you, the captain took MH370 down with all hands. They will find it one day. Okay, Khalil. I disagree on that, but that's fine. Luck, so you do mean Jodi's case, Luck? Um, I just don't see them being on the right track with it, and it's been so many years. Um, so I don't think it's going to be solved anytime soon. I mean, if I live to be 80, 32 more years, okay, maybe it has a shot. But I just don't. I don't have a lot of hope in the near future. Just my opinion from what I know. So Paula, I hope that as far as the percentage of cases, 25%, might not have gotten so out of control as they became cold cases because of cops not taking it seriously. But as far as disappearances being solved immediately if the police, that's really something that's hard. I would have to look at the cases, but I know it happens. But I would really have to go back and look at all Unfound's cases to really, really give a proper percentage. I really would. All we know is that kind of attitude of what you're talking about, Paula, is wrong. All right, there has to be a little more thinking there, and not just not a knee-jerk reaction. Is that all the questions? Let's see here. Okay, okay. All right, I think that's all the questions. One more. Yeah, Paula, that was a good question. I don't know if you're watching tonight or not, but I appreciate it. I think that's a good question. I'm sorry that I couldn't give you a better percentage answer. All right, I'm going to think about that. Luck said there was something about John's car and all that a few months ago last year. I guess nothing came of it. What that was, Luck, John Van Sice, they actually put a tracker on his vehicle to see where he was driving, to see maybe if he'd go back to the area where Jodi might be buried, and it just didn't lead to anything. I think that's what you're talking about, Luck. James, David Crowley, of course, I think Mr. Crowley with Ozzy Osbourne. If you want to send me something on that, James, I'm glad to look at it. Unfoundpodcast@gmail.com. I'd be happy to talk to Carly's mother. Just don't know the case that well. Joyce, what's going on? Jill, glad you made it. Okay. I want to talk about Missy Bevers' case. This is, of course, a Texas case. This is the woman. It's a murder case. You all know about it. That she was murdered at that church. There's, of course, the video of a person dressed up in like SWAT gear, police SWAT gear, who killed her. And we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary. And as I stated in the group a few days ago, I have to admit, I'm really surprised that it hasn't been solved. Okay? It hasn't been solved. There must be something more to that case than we realize. It would seem to me, my perception, I'm going to try to find something that I wrote about all of this. Hold on. If you could, just a moment. Where is it? Right here. Okay. There must be something about that case that we, the public, don't know. It seems to me that if somebody in the area ordered SWAT gear, that would be fairly easy to find out. I had posted a list of questions, and this was just running through my head when I got talking to somebody about it. And let me, just some of my thoughts about it, and I'm sure all of you have a lot of thoughts on it too. Luck, any cases that you think that Unfound should cover, you can send them to me. Okay, no problem. Yeah, Cherie, as Cherie is saying, the case has to be at least a year old. Carly's, if it's within the last year, then it's too recent. Okay. Courtney's in. Courtney, great to see you tonight. Here's some things that came to my mind as I was thinking about Missy Bevers, and then we're gonna finish this up with this Friday's case. Jenny in the group had asked me about Missy Bevers' case. Do you have any theories on Missy Bevers' murder? What do you think? And here's what I wrote. Jenny, it's hard to have a theory when there's so much that is publicly unknown. For example, did the church own anything that would be worth stealing by someone who broke in? Did Missy usually show up to lead the class alone or with other people? Was it generally known that the church had cameras inside? Was the church having any issues with threats and bad blood at the time? And we hear a lot about, for example, church vandalism all across the country. What are the closest places where police gear could be bought? Did it appear the attacker continued to look for stuff in the church after he/she killed Missy? What I'm saying is I still don't know if this was a murder where Missy interrupted something in progress or the attacker was there to specifically kill Missy. I think either choice is viable at this time. Another question. How much time was it between Missy entering the church and the attacker killing her? My belief is that if the attacker went to Missy immediately, then Missy was certainly targeted. However, if it was a few minutes or on the video, it appears that the attacker contemplated leaving before killing Missy, then Missy wasn't targeted and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And to finish that, however, I will tell you this. I don't believe that's a grown man in that uniform. That's either a grown woman or a younger man like a teenager. Okay. So I wanted to talk about that tonight. Bree says, I think a woman murdered her. Chandra says she agrees with Bree. Chandra says, look like body language from a female. I agree with that. There are other questions that I could have stated. If somebody went into that church looking to kill Missy, why kill her with a hammer? Why bludgeon her to death? If you're going to break in and your motive is to kill somebody, why not just bring a gun? You don't have to worry about the noise. It's inside. You really don't have to worry about that. But whoever did this decided they were going to bludgeon Missy instead. That means something. It means something. There is a reason, if it was a targeted murder, that Missy was bludgeoned to death instead of shot. However, if this was a burglary interrupted, then you can understand her being bludgeoned because the person wasn't expecting to kill anybody and then just had to use the tool that he or she had when they broke in, which was something to break a window to get inside. And this is back again, what I mean to critical thinking. This is the way I think about these cases. So it all means something. But I think if I knew some of these questions, the answers to some of these questions, we would be a lot closer to determining if Missy was targeted or not. We don't know these questions. I think the police know, but we don't know. And so, there you go. Bree says, I think it was a woman and she wore the outfit to cover herself up. Khalil says more than one person. Okay. Mimi says, I agree. I think it was a female. And the tough thing is that the walk, I know they were trying to say that Missy, what was her husband walk like that? And I watched that. I did not see that. But the person who was in that uniform, that gear, does have a unique walk. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I think I remember when I first watched it, I had the impression that this person might have had a knee problem at one time or had knee surgery or was having a knee problem. I think the right knee. So, but this is one of those stumpers. This is just like Sherry Papini's case, a stumper. Of course, Sherry's still alive. But I just wanted to go through that, being that we are quickly coming up on the 3rd year of that case and still no answers. Carrie says, I think it was a jealous woman, probably semi-slender, bulked up by the gear being worn, which could explain the odd gait. Could be. Luck, I feel there was a lot of speculation on Missy's Facebook feed because she posted a status update. There was a lot of people thinking the guy got the int from there. That's true. And Luck, what you bring up is what I want to know is, did Missy always show up for that class that she was going to be running by herself? or did other people who were taking the class get there early? To me, it would, if she was targeted, it would mean that somebody knew that she always showed up there alone. Okay? Now, was that the case? The other thing I'm wondering is, why did this person kill? If she was targeted, why did she wait until Missy got inside? Why break in? And, you know, maybe it is to make it look like a burglary interrupted. Could be. Could be, but when you start drawing in other variables, breaking into the church and this going off, it would have had to have been somebody that knew that the church didn't have alarms. Didn't have like a silent alarm service like many houses do. Somebody would have to know that. Well, who would know that? This is the way I think about disappearance cases. Look, but who would target a church at 4 a.m.? Well, maybe somebody, a burglar who didn't want to get caught. But the burglar would have to know that there was no silent alarm inside that was going to, these little posts that everybody has in front of their houses letting burglars know, hey, we got security here. Whoever broke into that church knew the church had no security system. Who would know that? It's a very good question. Who would know that? So let's move on to this Friday's case. I did the interview today, and this is one of those cases that is not very well known. In fact, you're not even going to find this case on NamUs. It's not on NamUs right now. It is the disappearance of Keith Fetter. He was from Martinsville, Virginia. Martin, you might know that place because there's a NASCAR track there. They have a race there twice a year. I've actually been to Martinsville, Virginia for a NASCAR race. He disappeared on May 24th, 2008. And I am calling this episode Just Around the Corner. Because in this case, his wife, and they were a bit estranged at the time, she actually sees him go missing. He and some other people were at her house. Keith kind of got in a huff, which is something that is still a big question mark after the interview today. They get in the car. They drive down, he and these other people drive down to the corner, like 600 feet away to an intersection. The car is about to turn the corner. Keith jumps out of the car, runs away, never to be seen again. And his wife, Jennifer, who is my guest, saw the whole thing happen. There were multiple searches, horses, dogs, ATVs, 50 people involved, looking all over the woods and everything for Keith. Never seen again. So I think I'm going to do another video because I think it will be helpful. This is, once again, I think the map is very important for this case. So I'm probably going to do another video that's going to end up on YouTube, so be looking for that. In fact, I will probably draw a map and put it in the group and on the page tomorrow sometime. So it's the disappearance of Keith Fetter, May 24th, 2008. The guest is his wife, Jennifer. She is not a suspect. From Martinsville, Virginia. And the episode is going to be called Just Around the Corner. Bria's saying about Missy Bevers, John Lorden zoomed in on the killer's face from the side and did pics of the family members, and a woman kind of matched. You can't, Bria, you can't do that. The quality of the video is just not good enough. You blow it up, it gets all pixelated. That's a little hokey pokey science. Hocus pocus on that. I'm just gonna be honest with you, Bria. I think people will see what they want to see when you start blowing pictures up and they start getting distorted. Cherie, lots of cool things coming up with Unfound. Please invite people you think might be interested. The Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. Don't forget the Think Tank on Sunday nights. Love to have you all. That's totally true, Cherie. And once again, I want to remind you about what Yvonne Ludwig is doing. Raising money for a good cause. And once again, $5, $10, whatever you can do to help her to get to her goal of $500. You'll see the post in the group. Hey, Shanna. Hey, I finally got to see you live. I'm late, of course, but I made it. Shanna, I appreciate that. But unfortunately, we're going to be ending the program now. So you're going to have to catch the replay when it's available on YouTube in a couple minutes. But what did we do tonight? We took a lot of questions. It was some really good questions tonight. I talked about how the next update episode will be in August. We talked about Tom Brown. We talked about K101 in Oklahoma. Pine Gregory and Nathan Lewis under investigation. We talked about Jodi Huisentruit and John Van Sice's interview. Volume 5 in ebook form of Season 1 is out on Amazon, $2.99. Transcriptions are going well. Slowly cleaning my place out. Got some cool artwork of some bands and things I'm putting together, put on the walls. Missy Bevers case. And then finally, the disappearance of Keith Fetter, which will be out 2 p.m. Eastern on Friday. Did the interview today. Jennifer did a great job. And I can't wait you to hear about this case that I'm sure many of you have never heard about. And you know me, I love bringing these kind of unknown cases to the public. You know I enjoy doing that and helping these people out. So I'm going to go. What's the email? Unfoundpodcast@gmail.com, James. But I'm going to go. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Favorite time of the week when I get to talk to the listeners on tonight and on Sundays. Thank you for taking the time to do so. Thank you for all the great comments. Everybody's so well behaved in here. I'm really proud. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. You'll hear me Friday. Thank you.